So let's raise the spirit of Yezdi. And let me tell you, come on.
First of all, I think the only ghost here is me, given my age. I'm old enough to be one. So thank you for including me in this launch. You know, when you mentioned this, being a movie buff, what I love about this, I think most of you know, this was very intricately linked to Om Shanti Om. This is where Shah Rukh chose to film it, and there was a very good reason. Maybe even he was inspired by the history of this plot, which suffered a fire and was destroyed. And that was part of the plot. So the plot of Om Shanti Om, in fact, involved fire, it involved reincarnation. And frankly, that's exactly what we're here to do. I'm sure Shah Rukh's going to be happy because I think he used the Yezdi. He really likes this brand. He in fact used this in one of his earliest films, Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na. So I think I just wanted to add that little piece about the film history here. We shouldn't overlook that, but my compliments to you for such a perfect location.
Thank you, Anand. So what you're going to see today is actually a wolf in wolf's clothing. That's what the Yezdi Roadster is. Now when we came into India, we opened a playbook called Classics. And then you know, everybody and their mother-in-law came with classic brands, and they are still coming. There's so many classic brands that have come into the country. But what is classic? A classic is somebody or something for which you have a very pleasant memory. What is the memory of these brands? I think at best you remember them on posters, right? They were not there. But remember the cool dads and the cool dads did not ride posters. They were riding real motorcycles, real roads, real stories. And I said that to somebody, these lovable rascals, they fell in love first on this bike. Their first paycheck, their first job, their first fall was on a Yezdi. Now that is a classic. He did not go to college or on a date on a poster, right? We're all very clear. We have stuck to the same philosophy when we designed the bike. We did not say the bike should be X cc or X torque. We made this bike for that attitude. So Yezdi is a thought. Yezdi is an attitude. That's what Yezdi is. And that was a two-line brief which we gave to our designers when we designed this bike.
When Indianization became the buzzword and all manufacturing, all items had to be Indian, at that point of time, the Yezdi was born. And you know, there's this, it's a fact. My father actually did this logo with the entire emblem around it on a table with a pencil, right? And that is where the Yezdi was born. And just so that you know, Yezdi, while it's a very popular Parsi name, the real story is that the family has roots in a place in Iran called Yazd. And for those of you who have not seen, there's a cafe Yazd out there. There was a place called Yazd from where this entire family came along. And, you know, Yazd became Yazdani, became Yezdi, and that's how the true spirit of that particular land was captured in. Now I'll tell you more. You know, my stories do not begin with meetings in boardrooms, etc., etc. They actually begin with a 7-year-old kid walking behind his father, walking like his father, you know, in the lines of where the production was going on in the factory. And at that point of time, the hum of engines, the motorcycle engines, the clatter of the machines that were making them, all of this really excited me. And I wanted to, like any young kid, right, any young boy at least, I'm sure all of you identify with that, wants to be like his father, and I want to be exactly like my father. And you know, he'd walk from machine to machine, identifying with the people, talking to them. I wanted to be like that. But the one thing that I did was I sneak off continuously and go to the R&D section. We had a lovely R&D section. And sneak off out there and then, you know, discuss about how to make the bike faster. How do I ride this fast? And this was a time when I could not even ride. I was not supposed to, at least. My mother didn't know. And then I used to kind of have people hold on to me while I kind of sat on the bike, and everybody knows once the thing starts moving, then you don't need anybody to hold on to you. So you're just
Boman,
riding it.
I just want to again be annoying and intervene for a minute, because what you just described explains to me your behavior when Anupam first met you. It's a story I think I've narrated right from the start, from the first launch we've done. But just to take you back, Anupam and I were having lunch and we were discussing what the best way to get into the retro differentiated bike market would be. And he said, Java, Yezdi, we should look at acquiring that brand. And then I told him, I said, I went to school in Uti, in a place called Lovedale, not too far from Mysore. And I said there was a girl in our school, who I think was your cousin, right, Mowgli's. And she was the most sought after, the biggest woman on campus, because the whisper was, she's from the Yezdi family. And believe me, I had a complex. Nobody gave a damn about the Mahindra brand. No urban person cared. Yezdi was it. Yezdi was the glamour. So I said, where's that girl? Let me find out where she is. And I made some calls and found out it was somebody called Boman. And of course, like everyone, I thought the actor. And I said, no, this is the Rustamji guy. So I got his number. And I said, Anupam, why don't you go over and meet him? Which he did. He comes back to my office and he said, this is a mad bawa. Because I went there to talk to him about negotiating a royalty, licensing the brand. And at the end of the day, he said, look, forget it. Anupam's heart sank. And he said, I want to join you guys, no royalty, I'm going to invest money. So you're still that kid, Boman, what explained to me, the one who's adventurous, wants to plunge right in. So thank you. It was your spirit that had a lot to do with where we are today. So,
Anupam always says, I went with a big fat check and you don't know what you lost. So Hindi mein ek picture mein tha na, aapne sauda kafi sasta kar liya. So I told Anupam at the end of the day, तुझे पता नहीं कि मेरी emotions क्या थे और मैं तेरे को बता सकता हूँ कि सौदा तूने सस्ता कर दिया. So anyway, that was the story. For me, it was never about the money. It was never about the money. Like I said, it was all about living up to my father's dream. He had so much passion for Yezdi, and I can tell you stories after stories after stories, where everything that they did was about the company, about the motorcycle. He was a rider in his own days, and he kind of encouraged. Most fathers would want their kids to be on two wheels, but be safe. He'd say, go take it out, just do it, do a little more. And it was all about trying to bring that back. I can tell you that there is so much love. I'm sure there's blood, sweat, tears that my family has over here. There's a legacy that I wanted to bring back. I just wanted the Yezdi to ride again. And when you sent Anupam to me, I actually wanted to complete that unspoken promise to my father. First of all, my heart was filled with joy, and then I had to kind of complete, or rather live or finish or do what I never ever told my father I would, was to bring Yezdi back on Indian roads, and every effort of mine worked in that direction. I'm sure somewhere up there, he's going to say, I'm proud of you, son, keep riding. But it's not been easy, Anupam, and you know more of that than most of us do. Take us through the journey.
When my father saw that I had a bike at home, he said, whose bike is that? And I said, that's not mine. So he said, what's it doing in my garage? So he said, a friend of mine left it here. He says, take it back to his. So I took the bike and kept it in his garage. And then I used to walk there and ride from there every day to college. So my memories with Yezdi, Java, go a long way. And when I realized yesterday that you two brothers are, Dad was the one who started the company, and then comes in Anupam and says, let's change it and get it back, because these guys are building, and when you build them, you make so much money. Sometimes you forget about what you're passionate about. But the sons doing it in memory of their father, also taking the legacy forward. That is what we are. I've always believed my father has been my hero, and whatever little I do, I've always made sure that he is there even before I'm seen or known anywhere. So I think, hats off. I think the trio, unbelievable. Percy, Boman, Anupam, all the very best. God bless, and it will rock the show. And once again, whenever it's a proudly Indian brand, we can't go wrong, can we? Made in India, but proudly Indian. Yeah! Mr. Kamath here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's an every continent on the bike and he comes and speaks to me in my language. So I said, you know what, lovely.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for the mention.